Hello, everybody. We just want to talk to you all about the migrant destabilization immigration plan by the Democrat Party. Elections have consequences. And this is why it's so important for you all to be informed and not hold on to just basic, simple minded talking points and simple minded false narratives that you're being fed to by your socialist professors, by the media, over and over, rehearsed over and over again by the talk show hosts. You have got to be informed. The uninformed voter will bring in a tyranny, will bring in totalitarian leaders in this country, guaranteed. It has happened throughout human history. The uneducated, the uninformed invite, welcome, bring in, create the conditions for tyrannical governments. This nation is over 200 years old. In fact, it's actually we're like 400 years old, technically speaking, if you go back as far as the pilgrims and those the people there who came over here for religious freedom. But what ends up happening to all nations, they go into tyranny. They go into a period where there is an autocratic leader that just takes more and more power away from the people. And it's all due to the fact that the people become uneducated, uninformed. They have no clue what's going on. They become entertainment addicted. This is where we are right now. We're divided, we're entertainment addicted. And what today we want to talk about the instability that's going on right now, destabilization. The work of destabilization is something that has been pushed into America ever since the Soviet art of brainwashing. Totalitarian leaders would love to control land and resources. And in order to do that, you've got to have a stupid people, a people who are uneducated, uninformed, and divided. The more divided they are, the less likely they are to do something significant. But they will try to unite the people under their stupidity, under their lack of knowledge. And this is what we're at right now. Let's consider this idea. Right now, America is being invaded. People are coming to this country. They're coming here unannounced. And you think to yourself, well, what if somebody came to my house unannounced, walked through my door? Do I keep my door unlocked in the first place? Do I slide my doors wide open without it being secure? No. A person who loves their home will protect their home. A person who loves their children will protect and defend their children and keep them safe. If you hate your child, you will abort your child. You will kill them. You'll think less of the childbirthing process. You'll dehumanize the child. And this is what people do when they dehumanize their opponents in many ways, but also they're dehumanizing their children, sinking their blob of tissue. Well, the socialists likewise are creating the conditions where America is less protected, less safe, to the point where they're making it a racial issue. Because why? It's because they're racist. But the reality is that there's an agenda to the socialists. Socialism eventually creates the conditions of tyranny and a dictatorship. It happens all over the world. Look at what the people are doing in France right now. They're being taxed to death. They're being taxed to death, and they can't stand it. The prices are like $6 equivalent to our particular dollar range, But can you imagine $6 a gallon of gas? Well, this is what's happening right there in France and in Europe. Russia has a stranglehold over all those nations because they're dependent on the oil that comes from Russia. So then what does Russia do? They hike the prices up. The reality is that the price of oil is actually going down. We're as a consumer in America, we're enjoying low prices of oil right now. It's like $2 or something. What's going on in Europe right now? It's because they become energy dependent on Russia. Russia is a totalitarian country. It's a czar. Who's the czar? It's Putin. But these are the people that Democrats have tried to befriend, tried to build relationships with, dictatorships all over the world. And South America is not something that's beyond that. You have got Castro, you've got various leaders in Venezuela that the Democrats and the liberal media have partnered with, have befriended, and have said, oh, this is wonderful. Socialism is such a great thing. All the while, the people are suffering day after day. And the average college student is not informed about the tyranny that happens when people have no money and the people have no economic freedom. no ability to buy the things that they need to buy because of socialism. So in socialism, you eventually run out of other people's money. And you'll see it in Europe, you see it in South America, it doesn't matter. The fact is that, consider this. What do we do in light of this? Should we now invade these countries that are suffering from the tyranny of socialism? Should we invade them and liberate the people now? Liberate them from the chains of socialism, economic poverty, by empowering the people to be their own bosses, to have their own jobs, to have their own businesses. Should we do that? What would the liberal media do? What would the leftist socialist professor do and teach their kids in those brainwashing centers called college education and sometimes high school? What would the Democrat leaders do if we began to liberate the people from the tyranny, the oppression that they feel, the kind of oppression that makes them want to come to America, a land of liberty, a land of freedom, economic prosperity? What would happen? They would say, oh, we're a bully. Oh, these people should go back to their homelands. But no, here you got these American people who are trying to liberate the people, everything like that. And we should have no business being over there in the first place. Okay, you have some people on the right and left who'll say that. They'll say how evil and bad America is for liberating people. Why don't we focus on our own nation? Yeah. Why don't we focus on protecting our own nation and our own jobs and let the people protect their nation? Why don't you allow the people to fight for their freedom and their country instead of illegally bringing people over here, oh, Democrat Socialists, and only to find out that when they come over here, they'll be under the same oppressive indentured servitude that they were fleeing from in South America. You see, what if we liberated the people? You'll say that we're a totalitarian regime coming in there and taking their land and stuff like that. But what if we don't liberate the people? Then you have those people coming over to our country and bringing stability in our country. Oh, socialists, Democrat socialists, bringing destabilization to America. So you see, regardless of how they come or how they go, the Democrat Socialists will bring destabilization because the ultimate goal is tyranny. So elections matter. When you voted Democrat, you had no idea that you're voting for a dictatorship, did you? You thought, oh, Democrat, that means power to the people. No, it's power to the few, the oligarchy, that actually funds the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is the party of the slave owner. It's the party of indentured servitude. Just like they used black people in the days of indentured servitude, the blacks had no rights or freedom. They were cheap labor to them. They're bringing the Latinos over here illegally so they can be cheap labor for them. You realize that the Democrat-controlled territories are some of the wealthiest territories in America. But when people vote Democrat, they're literally voting for indentured servitude. Now, how do you think Latinos would feel if they came to America for freedom only to find out the very same socialists who created the instability in their countries were the very ones who are trying to control them here in America as well? Don't you think they would revolt? Don't you think that they would say, what? You're the people who created instability in my country? Yes, they were. Look at what Barack Obama, the Democrat president, did. I want every Latino, if you happen to be watching this, all you young people who are Latino in descent, many of your forefathers came to America for economic freedom. But the very Democrat Party that created slavery is using your ancestry and people from your race to come over here as indentured servants because they have to come over here illegally so that you don't know who they are, so that they can be controlled and manipulated. That's what Democrats are doing, just like they did to us black people. You have got to wake up, young Latino person, young Latino voter. But the Democrat Party is still the party of indentured servitude. You got to realize that. This is why they want them to come over the borders illegally. So if you want to have a country that's economically free, you're going to want to vote Republican, and you're going to want to have capitalism. Capitalism is the only way you're going to have economic prosperity. And of course, have a good moral foundation as well. But, what if they found out? There would be a tremendous revolt, but they don't know. So some of you Latino young people have to communicate in Spanish that, hey, when you come over to America, come over here the right way. Because I assure you, there are people in that caravan who are kidnappers. They've actually found people who are coming through the border who are the parents of children, but really they are conducting a sex trade. A lot of these gangs are using young people as sexual slaves to make money. They're sending people over here, and the Democrat Party is saying absolutely nothing about it. Just like the Democrat Party said absolutely nothing about it when Obama, the Democrat president, sold high-powered rifles into the drug cartels. That should be a scandal, and it was a big scandal in Mexico, but the media had a blackout in our country. Even to this day, most Latinos and most Americans don't even know about that scandal called the Fast and Furious scandal, where the Democrat president, Barack Obama, sold, with Eric Holder's help, sold high-power rifles, over 10,000 high-power rifles to the drug cartels of South America to create the very instability that is going on right now in those countries. Also so that they can bring those people, oh my goodness, we're having instability, look at the crime, look at the crime. Well, you should thank the Democrat Party and the Democrat leadership for doing that. This is what Marxism will do. That's where socialism will get you. That's the kind of stuff they do. They will create the problem in order to bring a big government and dictatorship in your country. You don't want that. If you want a free country, first of all, make your country better. If you're from Honduras, make your country better. If you're from Venezuela, try to make your country better. And the Republicans have been known to support people who are trying to make their countries better. But the Democrats create that instability because they are socialists, and they are the party of the indentured servitude. So this is where we're at now. So elections have consequences. Oh, college student who voted Democrat blindly without knowledge because you trusted in those talking points, those false narratives, you are now going to suffer this kind of government. If they should take the Senate and the White House, we may never see a free election ever again. Do you, young person who's going to these colleges, public colleges right now, who are being indoctrinated, do you realize that we may be one presidential election away from having a socialist dictatorship in this country? The very same socialism that our forefathers in our country fought against, you are about to usher in because of your lack of knowledge. That the blood and the sweat and the toil that we fought freedom for other countries in France and Europe is now in our own borders, within our own borders, and now within control of the Democrat Party. Do you realize that the same communists that we fought against in so many places in the South Pacific is now in control of the Democrat Party? The leader of the Democrat Party is a card-carrying member of the Communist Party USA. You can't get any more clear than that. This is how close we are to losing freedom in this country. Why would anyone who's fleeing the oppression of socialism from other countries want to come to a nation that's being led by a bunch of socialists controlled in the Democrat Party? Why in the world would they want to come to this country? All right? Because they are being lied to right now. They are being lied to, and they're being lied to. It's a socialist indentured servitude. They're trying to bring in more servants, more slaves in this country. The same Democrat Party that created slavery in this country for Black people, they're creating indentured servitude for the Latinos. Wake up, Latinos, wake up, because this destabilization is at your door right now. You should have listened. You should have learned. You should have never trusted in the hyperbole and the exaggerations from the media. You realize that our media in this country, MSNBC, CNN, NBC, CBS, ABC, New York Times, Washington Post, are controlled and owned by socialist billionaires and millionaires. This is basically, in this country, we have a socialist media, a socialist dictatorship controlled media without the socialist leader right now. If you want to be a freedom fighter, you're going to want to vote Republican, join the conservative movement. If you want to be a freedom fighter, you're going to want to learn about the Constitution as fast as you can and know about freedom, because you are about to lose it. And I'm not exaggerating, my friends. You need to look at history. This is the last bastion of freedom in the world. And if America falls, the whole world falls. If America falls to globalists who are creating the destabilization, which is what Marxists do, which is what communists do, they destabilize a country so that a gargantuan government takes over, taxes the people to death. You need to want to be free from high taxation. Look at what's happening in France right now, in their socialist country of France, high taxes, and the country's in destabilization zone right now because, oh my goodness, the taxes are way too high. Well, what's going on really is that Russia, a socialist, communist controlled country, and really it's a form of managed control, but you've got all the people of Europe being addicted and being dependent energy-wise on Russia's energy, on Russian oil. That's a problem. This is why you want energy independence. But what do the socialists want? They just want to, let's get off of oil. Let's not mine for our own oil. Let's become a people who are dependent. And that's the problem with the Democrat Party. They're pushing Russia's policies, things that make Russia great again, and not what helps the American people. Open borders. It doesn't help the American people. So this is why elections matter. And this is why we see the hypocrisy and the destabilization that's going on in America is got to stop. And I welcome you to join the movement, the freedom fighters movement, and join the conservative revolution. Latino young people, join the conservative movement and save America. You are the last group that can probably do it now, since you're not so much. You have got to fight for conservatism. If you want to see a free country, if you want to see a country where people are economically free and prosperous, you're going to have to fight for it now, because the black population is dwindling because we've aborted our children left and right. We're being depleted. We can't do it. A lot of Caucasian people are trying to fight, but many of them also are dying out. Latino people, if you want a free country, you're going to have to fight for conservatism and fight for your constitutional liberty. You have to become an informed people. Maintain your moral standards. Don't let them demoralize you. You're becoming the dominant population in America, and you are the last bastion of people who can protect the freedoms of this country. Times are shifting. Populations are shifting right now. And pretty soon the power is going to be in your hands. But if you want a free America, if you don't want a socialist dictatorship, college student, if you don't want to be under the socialist oppression that you already experienced, my goodness, in your college campuses, where you don't really have a voice, where you don't have the freedom of speech in your campuses, what if that same policy in your of restriction of your rights, restriction of your freedom of speech, you don't have ability to have your constitutional liberties, what if that was nationwide? You wouldn't want that. That's the kind of government that socialists, your Marxist professor, are trying to push down your throat into America by indoctrinating you and causing you to think with your emotions. You've got to fight back, push back against your college professors, push back against your socialist leaders within your college institutions, expose the voter fraud. You've got to go and destabilize the destabilizers from the inside out. And this is how we've got to push back. We as Republicans, we got to stop being an opposition party and being a governing party and begin to work together to educate people. And like I'm doing right now, you're about to lose your country. Anyways, my time is up, and I thank you for yours. God bless America. And again, we want borders that are safe and secure, and so do all Latinos want that as well, especially if you're coming to this country legally. Thank you, and God bless America. And I hope to talk to you again sometime soon. Bye-bye.